Hey everybody, what's up? Happy November. I cannot believe that it is November already. I mean, it's like I say to myself, how did this happen? And then my little snarky voice is like, well, duh, girl, it's because October 31st is followed by November 1st. That's how it works. And then my response to myself is, bitch, shut up. You know what I mean? Because it's already freaking November. Before you know, we're going to be talking about the 2019 energy forecast video, and I am mind blown. Absolutely. So let me take a drink with my new bamboo straw. Y'all check the bamboo straw. I am so aware these days of single-use plastic, and the straws that I was always using in my drinks were always recycled. Like I would get a drink or an iced tea and I would save the straw and I would always use that the next morning. But I just thought I gotta stop consuming them. So I am gonna be that person who has their bamboo straw with them and pulls it out at the restaurant or the coffee shop and uses that instead of the single-use plastic straw. I never thought that I would be that person, but I am that guy, and I'm okay with that. Save the oceans, save the planet, save ourselves, really. There is some really, really juicy information in this month's energy forecast video. You know, our energy transmission. It's just been such an intense time, and I know that we're really still sort of reeling from the summer and the Venus Retrograde that as of this video will be wrapping up on November 4th. So just a few more days before we're out of that pressure cooker and the intensity of Venus Retrograde. It's all been useful, it's all been powerful, it's all been wonderful. But it really is, as we proceed into November, this is the month of mastery. This is the month of mastering balance. And it's no surprise that 11/11 is really showing up in many, many ways this month, right? November 11th, 2018, reducing to 11. We've got 11/11 and then we have 11, so it's 11/11/11 everywhere, and 11 is the master number. So these are the questions, right? It's a balance. How do I balance the masculine and the feminine? How do I balance the physical and the non-physical? How do I balance the intuition and the non-physical world with the action and the physical world? And all of this is what we're going to talk about in this month's video. But real quick, I just want to let you know about the Mastery Mentorship Program. I am still offering the discounted rate. Like I had announced several weeks ago, many of you had reached out saying, hey, I really want to take part in this program, but I just can't afford it, period. Even with the payment plan, which by the way, I am still also offering the payment plan on top of the reduction. So I'm offering the program at 25% reduction. You still get the free intake call when you sign up on my website. So go to andrewmartin.energy, click the Mastery Mentorship tab, read all about it, sign up for the free intake call and do the intake form so that we can see if this is the right work for you. And I am really, really excited to be able to offer this program at a discounted rate. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about, is stepping into our mastery and really owning who we are, claiming who we are, discovering that truth, finding that connection so that we can have the bedrock of our own self, our own truth, our own understanding, and that's what we root into. That's what we drill and dive into to create a stable foundation for the rest of our life. Mastery Mentorship is all about setting you up with the tools and the understandings and the perspectives that will serve you for the rest of your life. My number one goal since I started my program has been to get people to the point where they don't need me. I do not want to create people who are dependent on me. I want to work with people so that they can learn how to do for themselves what they see through me or what I do for them, so that they don't need someone to go to. They have their own connection to the truth and to the information. So whether that's one session or 1,000 sessions, whether that's Mastery Mentorship or another way that we can work together, go to my website, check out my offerings, and take a peek and let me know how I can help, because that's what I came here to do. So on we go to this month's video. And I've got my notes here as usual, so if you see me like glancing to the side, I'm not being shady. I'm just making sure that I'm staying on track. Well, I might be a little shady, but I'm also staying on track. Do you hear that leaf blower? Girl, I don't know what to tell you. Serenity now. Why a leaf blower? Why? As I just sat down to record this video. But you know what? I'm going to master myself and I'm not going to let it bother me. And we're going to proceed as planned. Here we go. I know that for many of us, and I would say pretty much this entire year, I was sitting in meditation this morning and kind of reflecting on the message that was coming through. And I get it. This year, 2018, has not been an easy year for any of us, myself included. It has been such an intense year. It is like in the pressure cooker, in the fire, in the transformation chamber, in the incubation chamber, whatever metaphor you want to use. This has been it. It has been so intense, and it has been so internal. This year has not necessarily been about forward action. It has not necessarily been about easy sort of going through it, just easy peasy on, whistling as I walk through, tiptoe through the tulips. No. I know it has been intense, and I know that so many of us are starting to feel something emerging. It's like there's something bubbling up within us that we can feel it. It's like, okay, I sense it. It's here. It's here. Like, I know there's something, but we can't quite give words to it. We don't quite have the language for it. And that is because primarily and predominantly it is stuff that we have never really experienced before. It is a new level of understanding and a new level of our own truth that in many ways feels brand new. So I know we are itching to take action because after basically 10 months of feeling like we've been in a timeout by the universe, and it hasn't been like a timeout in terms of punishment. It's just that on this journey, there's going to be ebbs and flows. There's expansion and contraction. There's up and there's down, and there's inner work and there's outer work. And we are moving towards the threshold of outer work. And I'm starting to see the breadcrumbs show up a little bit here and there. I'm starting to see it with client sessions. I'm starting to see it in my own experience that little things are starting to pop up to get our attention and to let us know that we're just about to the point of forward momentum. But I know we want to get there. We want to create. We want to move. We've been in such a deep inner journey for so long, basically the whole year, and we want so badly to take that leap. Hold on, boo. Take a breath. It's coming, but don't jump the gun, because here are some things that we need to really make sure we are aware of to ensure that the steps we are taking are building a foundation that is solid, that is secure, and that is sustainable. This is the key. Sustainability. Here's the other thing. It's probably not going to look like what you thought it would. It's probably not going to sound or feel or taste or smell like you thought it would. It is most likely going to require you to take an entirely different approach. A totally new level of awareness and a new perspective is what really, hear that? Is what really is required for us to proceed into building something that is sustainable and that will support us and the collective for the long term. It means flying completely blind at first, because we are really learning how to navigate our life in a way that is totally new. And here's the key, you guys. Change requires some discomfort. And I know I can hear you going, oh, no, I want it to be easy. I want it to be smooth. I want it to be fluid. I want it to flow. And hey, just because you're uncomfortable doesn't mean it can't be easy, doesn't mean it can't be smooth, doesn't mean it can't flow. It's just, it's going to be uncomfortable at first. It's like when you're working out at the gym or you're training yourself or challenging yourself physically, when you go from 5 pounds to 10 pounds to 15 pounds to 20 pounds to 25, it's a challenge. Every time you level up, you are learning new ways of doing it. You're learning new muscle memory. Now I have to hold and balance my body in a new way. I have to be aware of things that I didn't really have to be aware of when I was just doing the 2-pound weight. So just because it's uncomfortable, just because it challenges you in a new way, does not mean that it can't be easy. There can still be ease in your experience. It's just going to take a minute for you to realize and remember that the old ways just aren't working anymore. And intuitively, you know this. Think back of what you have gone through over the past few months, especially since June, and then all the eclipses, and then the full moons, and the new moons, and the this thing, and the that thing, and the energy wave, and then this portal, and then that portal, and then the Grand Cross, and the trine, and the T-square, and the whatever square, and the retrograde, and all of that. It was carrying us to this new place. It was the birthing of a new self, the birthing of a new version of who and what you are, a more clarified, rarefied, refined version of yourself. And here are the questions to begin to ask. Because this is what I know, you guys. You can't unring a bell. We cannot unknow what we know about ourselves now. And what I'm talking about is what we have all gone through with this, especially the past few weeks, with this deep, deep cleansing that we had to go through. And if you look back on some of the most recent videos that I've shared, not the 30 videos in 30 days, but the chaos as a gift and the emotional congruence, those were some really intense videos. And you saw me get emotional because I was going through it with you, but it's this understanding that we can't go back to the old ways. And a life lived solely through the mind is always going to be this much of the picture. It's like looking through the keyhole and thinking that I'm seeing the entire room. And a life lived through the mind is only ever going to be rooted in the past and what I used to do. The only way that really we should be referencing the past at this point is to remind us what is dead, is to remind us what has gone. I promise you that anything that has stuck around, and not in terms of like it's a crutch or I still want to go back to it or I still feel tempted, but in terms of a person or a relationship or something that's still in your awareness, it's here because there's still value for it being in your experience and it still has something to teach you, or you still have something to teach it. There's a reason for you to still be connected to it. But if it's not here in front of you right now at this red hot second and it's not front and center, let it go. Let it go. Because the only reason really that the mind is referencing the past is that it's grasping at the old ways because that's all it knows. This is really that imbalanced masculine state. That might makes right. That I'm just going to go and I'm going to make it happen and fuck it. I'm sick and tired of sitting around. I'm sick and tired of meditating. I'm sick and tired of healing. I'm sick and tired of journaling and listening to Andrew say just a little bit longer or not quite yet. I want to go out and I want to make it happen. That shit will fall apart so fast it will make your head spin. We can no longer take the imbalanced masculine approach of might makes right, of the intellect is king, of that I'm just going to do it how I want to do it and screw everybody else. That's not how it works. And we're seeing this play out on the world stage. We are seeing this all over the place, that these old imbalanced, sort of unhealthy masculine approaches are collapsing. And I'm not saying that masculinity is toxic. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that masculinity is a bad thing. I am saying that masculinity without the feminine intention can no longer stand. Action without intention can no longer be sustained. The masculine self, and we all have, this is not about gender, this is about the energy that we all hold, right? We all hold the masculine self. The masculine self is the physical. The masculine self is the mental field. The masculine self is the action, the forward moving, the let me take it and turn it into something. The feminine self is the emotional. The feminine self is the intuitive. The feminine self is the intention and the birth of the new. The masculine without the feminine is just a fucking bull in the china shop, and it is destruction with no higher agenda. Destruction is part of creation, right? I gotta cut down some trees to build a house. But if I don't have an intention and I'm just going through and cutting shit down, waving it all around, just making noise and tearing shit apart, that is what can no longer stand. And conversely, the feminine without the masculine action, my feminine self, my internal self, my emotional, intuitive, receptive self, without the masculine energy is just a dreamer that never wakes up to call the dream into form. So, where we have been is on this feminine, internal, intuitive, emotional journey. It has been about dropping into our inner landscape. It is about feeling our way through it. It has been about trusting the nudges that even though they may not make sense up to here, even though the masculine self is saying, well, I don't get this and I don't understand this and what does that mean and what does this serve and what's the point of it and what does it mean for me? The feminine self is saying, look, dude, I've got work to do. And you can just sit yourself down and trust that when the new intention, when the clarity has been birthed, you will know it. And you will know it like you know your name. It will be unmistakable when it is time for action. But if we're taking action before we have a clear sense of why, what does this mean for me? What is my truth and how am I rooted into it? What is my emotional, intuitive body telling me? What is it that I am receiving? What is it that is calling me to dive into it so I can open it up from the inside? That's the feminine self. How do I receive? And I get it, we feel so ready to jump into action because we are so frustrated with the lack of forward momentum. This is what the imbalanced masculine is. The imbalanced masculine says, I don't care what you say. I don't care what you think. I don't care if you're not okay with it or if you're unhappy with it. This is what I got to do. And I'm just fucking I'm sick and tired of sitting around and feeling and thinking and receiving. And I just want to go out and make something happen. Doesn't work that way. So the masculine self now allows the feminine intuition, allows the reception of these non-physical impulses and these intuitive emotional insights to come to the surface to inform what it is that we are doing. What are the steps that we are now going to take, and how do we call it into action? And if I get stuck in my emotional self, if my masculine energy is imbalanced and I find myself just in this watery, emotional, not taking action, not facing my fears, not summoning up the courage to move forth and take a step forward once I have the intention, that's when I get stuck. That's when I just get in the loop of like, all I do is feel and heal and release and feel and heal and release, and there's no end to it and there's no release from it. Just because we're hanging out in the emotional field doesn't mean that that's where we camp out. When I have an emotional impulse, it is up to me to look at that, to become curious about that, to ask it, what is the message here? And once I have the message, once I have the understanding and the insight, and I've allowed this emotional experience to move through me, that's when the clarity is revealed of what this means for me, and now it can inspire my action. We so often, I think, especially when we are afraid of our emotions or we haven't wanted to go to those places or these things that we've been sort of avoiding or putting off dealing with, and we think, nope, I'm just going to hold the vision, right? It's like spiritual bypassing. Nope, I'm just going to be love and light, love and light. Let me put it on my vision board, love and light, love and light. Nope, I don't see it. I don't see it. The sky is falling. I don't see it. And we never move beyond it because we never take the time to go into those emotional places and do our emotional work. Our emotional work is so crucial, you guys. That's what this whole passage has been all about, is getting into the emotional self and opening it up so we have an understanding of it. But it doesn't mean that because I'm having a bad day or a bad week that I just camp out there and that I never take the steps to move myself beyond. It's about facing it. It's about acknowledging it. It's about loving it up into transformation. It's about taking that denser emotion and loving it, understanding it, having compassion for it so that it can move up and it can lighten and be transformed so then I can move forward. So we need the yin and the yang. We need the light and the dark. We need the inner and the outer. We need all of these two polar, these polar opposite experiences. We need these forces that oftentimes feel like they're contrasting and competing. But just like I have been saying, the key to finding balance with two seemingly opposing forces is to center, to be the fulcrum. Where is the safest place in the storm? It's the I. I am the center of this storm. I am the center of my experience, and the chaos that I perceive and all the stuff that I see going on in my life, the safest place is in the center of that. It's not avoiding it. It's not trying to spiritually bypass it by throwing glitter on it, pretending that it's a rainbow when it's not. There's nothing wrong with having positive thoughts and intentions and wanting to see the best. But if I'm not being honest and I'm not going down to work with those wounds and to heal them, the beautiful vision is never going to come into form because it is not rooted in something that is sustainable. If I have not been taking care of my business, if I have not been acknowledging the parts of myself that are so desperate for my love and attention, they are going to be the very thing that derail my vision because it's not built on a foundation that is stable. So, the feminine self will not be moved until she is ready. She says, look, the birthing process takes as long as it takes. And once I have, given birth to the new self, the new understanding, the new truth, then it will be time to take action. Because the masculine self must now honor the emotional, non-physical realm of intuition and emotion. And we need both of them to create something that is holistic and complete. And we give all of ourself, as this is the key. In order to create a world where everyone has a voice, everyone is valued, everyone gets a seat at the table, I must do that for myself first. Is there something that you're still denying? You gotta give it a seat at the table. Is there something that you just wish wasn't true and you don't wanna look at it and you hope no one ever finds out about it? You gotta give it a seat at the table. It doesn't mean that you don't have a say, right? This has been my new thing. Is like, look, my fear self, my wounded self, it gets a seat at the table. My little Judge Judy and my little, fear monger, they get at the seat of the table, but there's a rule now, no terrorists allowed. If you've got something that you need me to know, send me a sign through on my emotional field and I will go in there and I'll pay attention and I'll ask the questions and do the work. But if it's just you terrorizing me, on the same old loop that I've been hearing for the same 40 something years, that's what's got to end. So we must now be accountable for our experience, period. We are the ones who created it, so we are the ones who can recreate it. We are the ones who broke it or who blocked it, so we are the ones who can fix it and remove that block. So trusting what you know, trusting that what you know about yourself that you didn't know a few weeks or a few months ago, that you can't unknow that anymore. You can't pretend that that isn't true. And when something is no longer true, you've got to be willing to let go of it. Are you still holding on to the struggle blanket because you don't want to do the work to move beyond the struggle? Right? So often getting what we want is the scariest thing. Because now that I have it, I have to take accountability for it. I have to be responsible for it. And I can no longer point the finger out there and say, well, it's your fault that I don't have it, because it's here. Are you willing to claim it? So for November, it may often feel like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, because we are really now learning mastery in the real sense. It's not just a concept, it's not just an idea, it's not just a vision, it's here. And as we step forward back into action, back into forward motion, back into creation, it's a thing. Okay, so I have the intuition, I have the intention, I have the clarity. All right, I'm gonna take a step, take action. So feminine self says this is what it is. Masculine self says, okay, how am I gonna bring it into action? And I start to move forward. Okay, I took a step. Does that still feel aligned? Does that still feel true? Yes. Okay, take a step. Does that still feel aligned? Well, I don't know, maybe not. Let me go inside, let me see. Okay, now I found it. All right, so maybe 2 steps forward and then a few more steps 2 steps back and then a few more steps forward. It's going to be a process of understanding. It's going to be a process of really remembering how to use these gifts. It's going to be a process of when I'm really lifting the heavy weight, I gotta be really, really clear on my form, and am I paying attention? Am I present? Am I with myself? Or am I watching that cute guy over there? Or am I thinking about what I should have had for breakfast or what I wanna have for lunch? You see what I'm saying? It is moment by moment, breath by breath, step by step creation. And if that means that we gotta take it a little bit more slowly and be a little bit more deliberate, then that's what it means. Because I don't know about you, but I would much rather go at a much slower, more deliberate, more mindful pace than just rush in like the bull in the china shop, waving around, making noise, breaking shit up, and then have to, oh my God, here we go again. The question is, how many times are you gonna have to go through this cycle before you decide that it's time to try something new? You have heard the voice of yourself. You have acknowledged or seen or been given the opportunity to see the truth as it stands now. And if you are not honoring that and you are not creating from that, then that is your choice. But don't be surprised when it blows up in your face, because it will. Because if it is not balanced, if it is not holistic, if it is not all that you are and all that you know, fully present and accounted for, creating mindfully and responsibly from your integrity and your truth, it's just gonna blow up in your face. So that's the message for the first part of November is, yeah, it's gonna start to move forward, and yeah, it's gonna start to be exciting. And I know we're so anxious, I just wanna use all the crayons in the crayon box. I just know all these new things and I'm really excited and I just wanna take action. I'm sick and tired of sitting around and waiting. Stop, take a breath, check in, find your center, find your truth, speak from your integrity, rise up to the challenge, and then proceed. And if things start to get wobbly, then you stop and say, hey, wait, I need a second. Let me check in. Okay, there we go, found it. Now I can proceed again. The rest of the year is gonna go by like that, and then we're gonna be into 2019, and that's gonna be a whole other ball of wax. It's gonna be really, really exciting. But we've gotta be willing now to do the work in the way that we know we need to do it. You can't unring that bell. Once the light has been turned on, you can't turn it off again. All you can do is bury your head under the covers and hope that it goes away, but you know that it's not. That's what I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much for watching. Go to my website, andrewmartin.energy, Patreon, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all Andrew Martin Energy. Follow me there, like, share, subscribe. I'm really, really wanting to get my Instagram and my Facebook up to 10,000 subscribers. I've gotten YouTube up there. I'm up to like 10,500, I think, almost. And I really, really want to see my YouTube or my Instagram and my Facebook follow, because I'm a Virgo and because I want to see everything at like the same thing, right? I just want it to be matchy-matchy. So if you are not following me on all of my platforms, it would mean the world to me if you did. Go to andrewmartin.energy, read about my sessions in the Mastery Mentorship Program, book a session. I know I can help. I love you. Have a fantastic November. Not yet, girl. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.